So I guess my coolest experience was, when I signed the day that I signed the contract to start training, because that's when I signed up pretty late, or I started pretty late. I was 23 when I started. To me that's late. I know DDP started at 35, and Batista started MMA at like 40 or 41, whatever he is. But personally, I would rather have started much earlier. I'll give you an example. My first year when I was at IWF, my tag team, they put me together with a tag team partner for probably the last 6 months I was there, and he was 13. And I was just like, man, like I wish I had started training at 13. He was part of the juniors program, but he was excelling very quickly. So instead of having him go through the whole juniors program, he would do that, and then he would tag with me on like house shows, or we would do like outdoor shows at the school, or house shows, student shows or whatever. So he would tag with me to get experience in front of the crowd, but training wise he would be in the juniors program. But he was real good, and it just made me more like, I wish I had started 10 years earlier when I was 13. I'd be in the business 20 years now. I'd still be a nobody, but it would have been, I would have had a big head start.
All right. Okay, cool. Go ahead, Shane.
Do we have? I know Pat was supposed to be calling back in. Is he on the line, or can I go to my question?
So wait for Pat and Matt. Matt said he had a question for Joey. Guys, feel free to call in if you have your questions. The phone lines are now open, 646-929-2442, 646-929-2442. But until they get on the line, Joey, who's one guy you haven't worked that you wouldn't mind getting in the ring with?
Well, I'd say either Steve Carino or Stevie Richards. Steve Carino was one of my trainers. Say that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just said really. I was surprised. You hear the bigger names as opposed to Carino or Richards.
Well, Steve Carino was one of my trainers.
Okay.
Like I said, I trained at Camp IWF in West Patterson, New Jersey, and part of the reason, most of the reason actually why I trained there is actually before I say that, let me just tell you a little quick funny. I guess it's funny for other people, but it makes me look like an idiot. But I don't care. If you can't laugh at yourself, So I originally intended on signing up for ECW's House of Hardcore. So I saw the ad in the back of Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. I called up. I went through the whole deal. We worked out the money and everything, and the schedule and all that stuff. And then they were like, whatever the deal was, I had to sign a waiver or whatever, and then do a down payment. And they were like, whoever I was on the phone with, I don't even know, was like, when you get the money for the down payment, give us a call. We'll set up a meeting. We'll come down, meet with you. You'll come. I'll go there and meet with them, and pay the down payment, and we'll set up a schedule when I'm going to start. So through the grapevine, I heard that Taz was the trainer, and I called back and said, I don't think it's for me. I'm not really interested. So I instantly thought, this guy's going to beat the hell out of me. There's no way I'm going to go down there and do this. So I just called back and said, no, I'm okay. I'm not going to do it. So, it makes me look like a wimp, but whatever.
I don't blame you. We've got a caller on the line from the 314. You're on the line with Hit the Ropes Radio and Joey Image.
Hey, this is Pat Sheamus.
Pat Sheamus.
What up, Pat Sheamus?
What's going on, guys? I got a question for Joey.
What's up, man?
Joey, what do you think of Orton?
Say that again?
Hello?
Joey.
Yes.
What do you think of Randy Orton?
I think he's one of the top guys in the business right now. He is a hell of an athlete. I think he's obviously got a temper problem, and that needs to be worked on. It's like if you get pissed off, but don't make it so obvious. There's stuff that fans don't need to see. and there's stuff that shouldn't happen. You know, you don't. It's an unwritten rule. You know, it's an unwritten, quote unquote, unwritten rule in pro wrestling that, you know, you got to gripe with somebody, you don't take it out in the ring. If Kofi Kingston, you know, screws up his timing on the finisher, that's fine. You know, if you want to get pissed off, it's fine. But if you're gonna look at the camera and yell "stupid fuck," you know, take it in the back, take it, you know, after the show, whatever. You know, don't do it in front of the fans. It's extremely unprofessional. And you know, the key word in professional wrestling is professional. You know, I mean, it's about respect. And if you're not showing any, you don't deserve any. But as far as guys,
I said I've met him a couple times because I'm from St. Louis, so I kind of see him around every once in a while. He's never been really rude to me, but I've heard some times when he's been rude to fans and such.
Yes, yeah, I've heard that too. I've never met the guy though. I did get a chance to work with his father, too. You know, who's a great guy. I mean, when I hear stories of, like, you know, Randy Orton calling the makeup woman a C word backstage a couple of years ago for whatever reason, and then you know, I guess it was 2006 where I got to work with his father, Cowboy Bob Orton, and it was like just not the same, you know, not the same attitude at all. I mean, Cowboy Bob was awesome. He was the greatest guy in the world. You know, he's like the dad I wish I had. But, you know, it's so, like, it's such a different, like a totally opposite spectrum of from what I'm hearing about Randy. But just as far as wrestling-wise, he's one of the best in the business right now. He's loaded with talent. I think he just needs to mature his attitude up a little bit, and he'd be a top guy. I mean, he's top guy now, but he could be top of the world.
Yeah. And who else do you think in WWE and TNA is an up-and-coming star?
Who do I think should be what? I'm sorry.
I said, who in WWE and TNA is an up-and-coming star?
Well, I guess I'm a little partial because I know the guy, but I'd like to see Jay Lethal. I mean, I know we just saw Jay Lethal beat Ric Flair, but then he got his receipt the following week. But I'd like to see Lethal become more of a main player, more of a top guy. Again, that may be biased because I've known Jay for a lot of years. We've worked together several times, and, you know, we've trained together and stuff, and you know, done a lot of the same shows together. So I've known him for a while, but I'd like to see him. I'd like to see. I know they're doing the new ECW angle or whatever in TNA. I'd like to see a couple of those guys stick around. You know, and kind of become top guys and work in top storylines and stuff. As far as WWE, I mean, you know, I want to say Sheamus because I'm a big fan of his. I mean, I think he is a hell of a worker. He's one of the best they have right now, I think. And even though, you know, a lot of people say he's not ready for the spotlight, I think he's growing into that position. You know, that position of like a top guy. He may not be the greatest. You know, may not always be the most graceful. You know, or the most, I guess graceful is probably the best word for it, but Sheamus is definitely a hell of a talent. I wish they would give him his last name back. Sheamus O'Shaughnessy is a really cool name.
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
you know,
I like that name.
Yeah, I actually had a chance to meet him once. He was very, very cool.
Yeah.
I went down to Orlando in November of 2008. Just me and a whole bunch of wrestler friends, and we went down. We rented a friend of ours, a referee friend of mine, had a timeshare, so we went down there for a week and just hung out in Orlando. And we took a road trip one night, an hour north up to Tampa to FCW Arena, and went to an FCW show. And as luck would have it, I happened to have my gear, and they had a spot open, and I worked a battle royal, and I got to meet Sheamus, and I'm like, whoa! And he was nobody then, you know, nobody knew who he was. But he was a really cool guy, and you know, he very, very humble for you know, the spot that he's in. I mean, you know, not that I've spoken to him recently or that that he would even remember me, but he's definitely a very humble guy. I mean, when you're in FCW, you work for WWE basically, and you know, he just talked like any other indie guy, like he wasn't, you know, about to like embark on this, you know, huge, awesome career. But yeah, he's a really good dude. So I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him grow more into that role of being like the top heel they have there.
Yeah. Did you hear anything about back to Randy Orton about him being mad at the Miz